Welcome to the Don Pod, the supporters podcast. Here's your hosts, Sam and Nate.
3, 2, 1, yeah!
The Italian football master Gattuso once said, "Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit." I don't think anything, particularly from the world of soccer, could sum up the Essendon Football Club any better. Essendon returned to form with a 1-point win over the Fremantle Dockers in Melbourne. Welcome back to the Don Pod. I am joined by Nathan, the illustriously bearded, I've used illustrious too much. Hi.
Oh, just let me speak. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to the Don Pod. We're recording this an hour, would you say an hour and a half?
Yep.
And after the victory against Fremantle. So there'll be some emotion.
Enough time to eat and get children off to bed and, well,
Drink some more
probably
beers and
not.
a bit of rum and, whatever else you can pour down your gullet at this time of night.
Probably not to bed in your case, I imagine, but...
No, my children will stay up for at least another half an hour now.
Yeah. Essendon 13-12-90 defeat Freo 14-5-89. I missed that bit at the start. Stringer kicks 4, Gresham 3, Martin and Langford 2, Caddy and Draper 1. Parrish finds a bit of form, 34 disposals, Jai Caldwell 32, and Zachy Boy Merritt 29. Interesting one. The mood is high.
Mood is high.
Mood is high, but also for me, an air of frustration.
Yep.
Lingers just in the fact that this isn't consistent. But anyway.
Well, that was going to be my first question to you, Sam, is how do you feel after this sort of a game? And how does everyone feel? After the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've seen a pretty ordinary effort, and then this week, we see that.
It's frustrating. It's the overwhelming emotion because it's like, all right, well, we were flogged in the media, and rightly so, after last week.
Yeah.
And we come out and beat a quality side. I've got
Very good side.
Second guessing. I don't think Freo are...
I'd put it up there with the GWS win early in the year.
Yeah, I think Freo are a good side. And they were looking good. We sat there a couple of times. We were watching it together. We sat there a few times and went, well, I don't feel like we're playing too badly. I just feel like they were outclassing us for the most part. There are a couple of moments, which we'll get into, that we were pretty shit.
They felt like they were better.
What I would also point out is that when we were playing good football in top 4, we hadn't beaten a top 8 side. As of right now, we've beaten 3.
Have we really?
2.
There's a few teams have
3.
slid back in.
We beat 3. Yeah. And we're worse. So that's just puts an end to that argument because...
Doesn't make sense, does it?
Doesn't make any sense. Before we get into it too much, I got 3 things that I want to mention. One is a massive shout out to one of our listeners, Nick.
Yep.
I was at the VFL last week. It didn't last long, I'll admit, because it was cold and miserable, but I was there. And I was just walking around trying to find somewhere to watch, and this bloke's like, you do that podcast, don't you? I was like, yeah. And we had a chat. He was a good bloke, Nick, with his dog. Just a shout out. I've never had anyone come up to me and talk to me about it before, so it was just kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, Herbertron, our mate Herbertron. We don't know him, but we'll call him our mate.
But in saying that, we've loved his work for years, and
yes.
you and I often have have you seen the latest Herbertron?
Yes,
So good this week.
And
He's really nailed it this week,
Yeah, he's...
Would often think that, yeah.
High quality videos and accurately
I don't know what he does for a
summarises.
profession, but it has to do something in the media. Surely he's in a media.
Yeah. Anyway, a clip of ours was used this week among probably 3 or 4 other podcasts, but that was pretty cool for us.
I was pretty excited by that, Sam. I wanted to be known that I was watching it as I do during the week, and it popped up, and I went, I saw some other
Absolutely,
podcasts.
Essendon was first. And we were like,
and I went, wouldn't that be cool if
Yeah.
that was you? Yeah.
And then your voice come in.
And then our voice pops over the top. I went, oh my God, it's us.
Holy shit.
I texted you straight away. I was like,
Well, you did, and you were like, watch it now.
Yeah, watch it now.
And I didn't pick up on it. I was watching it going, wouldn't it be cool if we were... Oh, hang on a minute. Nathan's messaged me here.
Yep.
And then, we were in it. It was really cool.
So that was pretty exciting.
Shout out, Herb. And I want to give you a stat. The barometer at the Essendon Football Club.
What is that barometer?
Alwyn Davey Jr.
Oh.
has played 9 games of football this year, and we have lost 1.
Oh, wow. Well,
Yeah,
he's
8-1 with Davy
there's
Jr.
a
in the
barometer.
side, and that one loss was against Sydney in round 2.
Play him every week.
Yeah, well, he's in the team now. And I thought he was okay coming on as sub. He didn't get as much of a run as we might have thought.
I hate the sub. I hate the sub. I hate the way we bring them on with 15 minutes to go and we expect something from them. I still don't know what I would have liked to see him come on a fraction early, but that's fine.
Well, we were thinking late third quarter. We were talking about it. But anyway.
I did love what they did, like taking off Brian, and who was having a great game. Wonderful game.
Well, let's talk about that, actually. Yep. There's other players that were better, but
let's talk us up.
Because I want to make a point that you made.
Yep.
And this was great insight from you, and I didn't pick up on this at all. So big props to you.
I'm pretty wise.
I was an asshole to you before we hit record, but I'll be nice to you.
Oh, he was. He's always an asshole to me. It's what I have to deal with in private. It's really hard.
Nick did say that actually when we were chatting. He goes, "Geez, you're mean to him, the old fella." Yeah,
thanks, Nick. Yeah. Respect.
Yeah. Anyway, you pointed out that Brian did the majority of the ruck work for the first 3 quarters, most of, which meant that when we subbed Brian off, Draper was more fresh than he otherwise would have been. So we almost got 2 fresh players.
Yeah, good point.
Davey Jr. and Draper against someone who you said as well with Darcy generally
Darcy and Jackson
towards the end of the game.
Yep, he does his fitness issue with Darcy. That's always been.
He's a big lump of a lad.
Big boy.
He's a big dude.
Needs to get fitter.
And I will say, I've watched a little bit of Freo this year, and Luke Jackson kills teams. Didn't really have an effect. And that's big shout out to Nick Cox, who had a very impossible job, I would have thought, on him. If you told me that Nick Cox was going to play on Jackson, I would have been quite concerned.
Yeah, as I said to you, there else does it. Like,
there was not a lot of options.
No one else. Like, he's the. I understand when they had Mackay on Joe Miss.
Tracy.
And Tracy, sorry. And
it was Laverde
on Joe Miss, sorry, was on Laverde. And I understand those matchups.
Yep.
And then it left Cox had to go to him. Like, that had to be his job. And he did pretty well. Like,
but really, Darcy had 33 hitouts, which was more than Draper or Brian, but combined, Draper and Brian had more.
Yeah. I really loved Brian's game.
Well, Draper was able to hit the scoreboard.
Yep.
21 hitouts, 3 marks, 1 crucial mark right at the end.
That mark him last week. Yep.
5 tackles for Drapes as well. But yeah, you're right. Brian, particularly first quarter, we're not in that game if not for his tap work.
Yeah. I felt like he won the first 3 or 4 hitouts.
He was killing it.
I thought he rucked really well against a bigger guy. You can see there was one point where him and Darcy were in a marking contest, and Darcy just pushed him out of the way because that's Brian's a bit small. And I don't want to blow our own trumpets, but I will,
baby.
No. We have been calling this for a while because
you in particular, you can take a bit of credit here.
Yeah, well, I think we've been saying I don't understand the Goldstein in the last 3 or 4 weeks because I got him at the start of the year. Play him. He's a senior player. He looked pretty good, but he faded. But the future of the club is between those 2 guys, Draper and Brian. Now, I don't know the future if you're playing both of them all year and what Peter Wright, how he fits into all that. I don't know the answer to that. But all I know is Nick Bryant is a capable ruckman and Draper is not a half bad ruck forward, to be honest.
Tell you what, Draper could have taken 7 or 8 marks. He got first hands to a lot of footy. He took 3 marks and he was very good.
Well, he kicked a nice goal from 45 or 50.
Seems to hit him better from that 40-odd region.
Yeah. So I want to give that a massive tick. The other massive tick, obviously, was Archie coming in for Archie.
Archie, yep.
Which we'd called a few weeks ago.
Correct.
And I don't think we were Robinson Crusoe on that one. I felt like a lot of people would have probably been saying that's probably...
there was a lot of shouts for him to go.
Yeah. So I think that one... And he played well. He looked a bit knackered.
Perkins to go out. It was funny. He did look genuinely dead. And we were giggling at one point going like, holy shit, this poor guy's just come into the AFL going, fucking hell, these guys run, don't they?
He's running around going, fucking hell, this MCG's a big ground.
He kept running. He kept going. He kept playing his heart out. He had a couple of really good moments. And that's all you want from these guys. I don't expect them to come in and be brilliant straight away. Just little moments to go, he's got a bit.
He's still a kid. He was drafted last year.
Kid, doesn't he?
50 or 40 or something like that. So, first game, that's great. That's an awesome result. That's a big positive. And as supporters, we love that stuff.
Should be rewarded with a spot next week. I would.
100%. There is
I
no
don't
reason.
think there's too much to. I mean, we'll get to that obviously, but I don't think
Yeah.
there's too much to change. Look, the big one, and
Mm.
again, we'll continue to toot our own horn because
Toot, toot.
I feel like we do call ourselves out when we're wrong. So I'm going to enjoy our
Yep. No, that's
our victories. Jake Stringer. Would I be
Yes.
right in saying he didn't have a single centre bounce attendance?
Oh, I haven't looked at the numbers, but I did not see him in there
We
for
didn't know
one.
anything.
And
The man's a forward. Who'd have thunk it? He kicked 4 goals,
and looked dangerous.
10 tackles.
Oh, where's that from?
Did sneak a goal assist as well, so just check
Yeah.
that in there. And he had 8 touches. He had more tackles than he did disposals, which I admit could be a bad thing. But with his 8 disposals, kicked 4 goals. And
But he kept
looked-
Luke Ryan too under. Like Luke Ryan
Yep.
just didn't get to float around and do what he wanted.
But looked good. Looked dangerous. There was... I don't know if this is the goal assist. He didn't actually
Sing
get
it,
a
sister.
disposal. But it was a lovely tap from Draper O'Brien, went down to Stringer, who was bursting through the pack, knocked it forward, straight to our guy who kicked a goal. Don't think that's a goal assist because it's not a disposal.
not sure, yeah.
But created it. His movement around the stoppage in the forward line created it.
And that's where I think his big body is really good in those forward, because we have struggled to score from stoppages in 50s. Like, I don't think it's been one of our strengths this year. And I think him in there, fresh, not running in the midfield, running back, running around, was just so much better.
Stoppage clearances generally are now.
Yeah.
Forte.
So, and the fifth or fourth thing when we're up to is effort.
Effort that you
So-
have written there.
Yeah, I've written down. And all I want to talk about is, so last week, all we looked at as supporters, all we saw there was, what the, like, they just put their heads down and went, nah, not doing it this week.
It's too hard.
Too hard. It's towards the end of the season. And we were all like, oh, God, it's happening again. The GWS game from the year before, the Collingwood game from the year before, and, I think there was a Geelong game a couple of years too, like, where we just got flogged towards the end of the year. And there was a point in that third or fourth quarter where I said to you, oh, I'm happy with this. Like, if we hold
Well,
about 20 points, if we're around there at the end of the game, I'm okay. This is a top 4 side. They've been playing really good footy. We've given really good effort. I still think they're a better quality side than us, and that was shown for most of the game. I was surprised, honestly, by the result. I thought that they don't turn the ball over. They were kicking goals from boundary lines, like everything.
they are a classy side. They have a lot of good players. I think
Yeah.
the biggest thing you say there, effort, and we were sitting there going, you know what, we've played okay. For the most part, it was just that they were better in critical moments. But the effort and intensity was there. And again, stress that it's against a good side. So you can sit there and go, well, last week it was a double whammy because I don't rate St Kilda, proven by their results
exactly.
today against Brisbane.
And that's the part that burnt, didn't it?
And the fact we were so shit, it doesn't help. But against poor opposition, this was against a quality side who had their biggest lead of the game, 25 points, 2 minutes into the fourth quarter.
And I
We
think
were
it's a
able
really
to
valid
overturn
point.
that.
What burnt last week was the team that beat us.
We don't rate them.
Don't rate them. They haven't played good footy for a
And they
long time.
smashed us.
And then what really is impressive this week is the same thing, is that the team we've beaten, who have been playing good football and had us, as you're saying, by 25 points in the last quarter. They should have been able to,
And honestly,
not shut up shop, but
they didn't
control that.
They barely made a mistake all day. And then fourth quarter, there was a bit of pressure, bit of perceived pressure. And all of a sudden, they were making mistakes. And yes, that's partially on them, but it was on us too that there was pressure being applied. We were plus 10 tackles inside 50. And I mean, Jake Stringer had 10 tackles, need I remind you. So, there's correlation there.
It's all him.
All him.
Yeah, it was just like, it was just, there was effort, there was enthusiasm. And I'll point out some of our defenders got beaten. But we're okay with that because we don't think they're good enough. Like,
Well, you were
no
allowed
offense
to
to
get beaten.
Laverde. Laverde struggled all game. Like, he
was poor.
had a matchup that he was not good enough compared to Jai Miss. Jai Miss is a kid who's played, I'm guessing, under 50 games of footy, and who is already clearly a better football player than Jaden Laverde. Jaden Laverde gives his heart and soul,
Amos
100%.
played 44 games of football.
but he is not good enough. You could say he's trying to scrag, he's trying to pull the jump, he's trying to do this, he lands on him and all that sort of stuff. Gives away a ridiculous 50 when he just every man and his dog knew he was over the 50 meter, like he was over the mark, like, and he was,
Except
and he
for
looks
him.
at you, and I hate this about Laverto. This is one of my biggest frustrations. Is he looks at the umpire and goes, "What did I do?" And we're all like, "What? We could all see it,
We all
buddy.
knew what was going on. And it's not...
All, yeah,
I get frustrated sometimes with the umpires and a lack of situational awareness where they'll penalise a guy because he hasn't heard the call. And it's quite clear. You can see that they haven't heard what's happening around them because the crowd.
Yep.
But the umpire blew the whistle. He did that quick little boop boop, as in,
and it wasn't
get
a big
back.
crowd.
And it wasn't a massive crowd. No, it sounded like it at the end.
Yeah.
And yeah, just completely ignored it, which shit me. And you're right. And then that stupid, like, what have I done wrong face.
Yeah, that we all know what he did wrong, mate.
So
and then there's like McGrath. He had really good patches and really really bad patches. There was a
really
moment
bad,
in
like,
the
30
was it the
seconds.
second quarter, where he
Third, I reckon.
2 minutes ago he just turned the ball over twice, and they scored from it. And my big knock on him is a lot of the time he gets the footy and he doesn't look ahead and he just kicks
and it looks
or he
good.
handballs. Yeah,
He runs, he dashes, he kicks and turns it over, and you just go, well,
and when they show that
Sark
footage of
could
what
do
he was
that.
kicking to, and you go, well, what the fuck were you kicking to there, mate? Like,
yeah.
where were your thoughts there? No one was there to go to mark that, so
Obviously.
why'd you kick it? So,
oh God, excuse me, sorry. Darcy Parish, 34 touches and 4 clearances. Didn't notice him. I wouldn't have said 34. I mean, I noticed him. But wouldn't have said 34. But
that's a pretty good second game back.
Was clean. Like, no complaints. And yes, as you say, second game back after missing most of the season. And this is one argument I made to you during the game, that maybe that's why Stringer was in the middle so much last week and not this week. It was a
Is that
process
because he was still getting back to that fitness?
to get Darcy Parish build up minutes last week, which I'd argue maybe you should do in the VFL, not in AFL.
Well, but then
whatever.
I would argue that Durham or Caldwell can cover
Correct.
it. I would prefer those two than Stringer. No offense to Jaggy, but
maybe that's why.
yeah,
Offering
fair
a
enough.
solution.
Hopefully, going forward, there's a bit of a blueprint in that Parish, Merritt, and Caldwell. Well, I would say they were the main three.
That was the common three. Yeah.
Yeah. So Shield a little bit, and probably Durham.
Well,
a
Shield
little
was
bit as well.
huge in the last quarter.
Yeah, he was really good. He'd had a pretty ordinary game actually up to then. He had a bit of fumble, bit of shit tackling, sort of as Shield can do.
Well,
But his last quarter was really good.
really good. And I've got numbers there to back it up. 20 touches, 7 clearances, which was a team high. And listen to a snippet of Brad Scott's press conference, who talked about Chill and said how good he was, and that the players are now, I think, saying to him, "You're the man. We're going to try and get it to you."
Yeah.
Had to come off in the last quarter. He didn't want
They
to
didn't
come
want him
off. Well, they didn't want to take him off, but he was just knackered.
Cooked, yeah.
So,
But
and
he
then
what was it? 2 years ago, he was a leading clearance or second
centre clearance player.
Stanley
Yes.
clearance player in the AFL. So
Comp.
it's still there. It's an interesting situation too, and a different conversation going forward. He's at the end of his contract at this year. So that'll be interesting. What happens? I think.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to answer that now, I would say I think we would be better if he wasn't in our best 22, if you get what I mean. But
I think
based
it's
on
a
his
challenge,
last 3 weeks, he's in it. He's definitely in our best team at the moment.
yeah. And I don't want to sidetrack off into
well,
this
yeah,
conversation,
that's
but
still a conversation.
it's a fascinating sort of conversation. I think at the end of the year, what we have with the players, because part of me is really excited by this game, but I can't not also look at last week and the weeks before. Like, you can't just go, it's all washed away from the last few weeks.
That's
like,
why I chuckled, because if we
Yeah.
had this conversation this time last week, we would be
it's gone.
listing half the team.
Yeah, that's right.
And, yeah.
So the next week we've got, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. The next 3 weeks, you still expect that effort every week, and we expect
Yes.
results,
And-
not wins against, but just good effort.
And this is the key. So we scored, if I can do some quick maths,
Yep. That's
10,
a big challenge for you.
10 of our 13 goals came in the first and fourth quarters,
Wow.
which means
10 of our
2,
13
yep,
goals.
Yep. So we kicked 1 in the second quarter and 2 in the third quarter.
That's interesting.
They had 4 goal, 5 goal, 3 goal, 2 goal quarters respectively. So
Slowed down.
that's the impressive bit for me, is that we didn't allow that massive run of goals.
Yes.
They never got off the chain.
They only
And
kicked that
I'm
4
actually
in a row, yep.
surprised. So we bring this stat up every week. We won the inside 50, so we're plus 50 in it. Oh my God, plus 15 inside 50s. This is why we're not on tally. This is why we just do an amateur podcast. Imagine me play-by-play commentary. Never mind. Plus 15 inside 50s. We went at 40.7% efficiency, which is slightly below our average, 44.4. However, our issue the last few weeks is that Adelaide and St Kilda both scored at better than 1 in 2. So they went at about 55 to 60%. Freo actually averaged 50%, which must be one of the highest in the comp, nearly 51%.
That is very cool.
Yeah. We've done to 43.2. So that says to me, and I still have some massive issues with the back six, but that says to me the ball's going in under more pressure. They still rebounded and had blokes free semi-regularly, but 43.2%, that's our best result defensively for quite some time on a ground that's quite big and there would be a lot of space. So that's... It's good. It's a
turnaround from definitely one of the major turnarounds from last week.
Yes. Again, I stress against a quality side, and it's just good. It's frustrating because we can't do it consistently, but the mood is better this week than it was this time last week.
Yeah, and look, from us too, and this is another factor, is that I would say, even though I know the stats probably don't back this up 100%, in that I would say that's our 4-quarter effort game of football that I haven't seen for the last 4 or 5 weeks. Like
GWS was...
Yeah. Like the worst, what was our... I know that you pointed out they scored a few goals, but the second quarter where they kicked those last 2 in the last 2 minutes, that was horrible.
Yes.
The third quarter, we played... there were moments where I felt like we were right even, and all they were just better than us, which I was okay with because they should be. They're a team that will play probably a couple of finals. Like, they're a decent team. So,
and this, not just that. This is a team playing for top 4. So they have everything to play for.
Right.
It's not like they're sort of set in 6th and don't really care.
And they had us by, 13 points at first quarter, 20 points at halftime. Like they were they were doing all the right things. 20, and you said 25 points in the last quarter. So that, they were playing that sort of football. They got out in front, kept that margin, improved that margin by kick every quarter.
What you'd expect in a professional.
What do you expect? And then, and then all of a sudden we got a run on where we kicked 2, and I thought, oh, well, that's great. We've got back into it within a couple. And then, we kicked those couple more to get in front. And I went, wow. And they didn't have that ability to kick that last one.
So
sneak it back from us. And can we also point out quickly while we're on that? We kicked a lot of points in this game, as you could see, in the score. I think it was 11, was it? Or 13, whatever it was.
13-11, I think it was. 13-12.
Yeah,
13-12.
So we kicked 12. And you and I joked throughout the game.
I said it in the second quarter. Handy point. Handy point.
We kept you, that's a handy point.
And if I've never foreshadowed.
And I finally got to 7 points instead of 3 like it was when he was saying it the first time. When it jumped to 7, I was like, now it's a handy point. Yeah.
And then we got the truest, I don't know if that's the word, of handy points. The handiest of points.
The handiest of handy. Ooh, sounds like a hand job.
Yeah. You didn't need to say it. We all.
Yeah, I thought it. Yeah, sorry, everyone.
And that's a good point because they were 9 goals won at halftime. Yeah, 9 goals won at halftime. Them to 6-6. So they were freakishly accurate. And I don't know why this is a thing against us, because so was St Kilda last week, dominant from absolutely everywhere.
Great to see him get flogged.
Yeah, it was.
The other thing, too, I want to quickly mention is, so we're on 11 wins at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
12 wins is our best in the last, something like 10 years.
So you were saying 14 wins in 2013 when we got kicked out?
Yep, so we had 14 wins and we were pushed to 9th because we weren't allowed to be in the finals. So that's the last time... without going back further than fucking...
Well, but before that, it would have to be 2004.
Something like that.
Because we weren't... Like, even 2009 when we made finals, we scraped into 8th, and I can't imagine us winning more than... I'm going to have to Google it now, I know.
No, that's right. So I'm fascinated. If you'd asked me this question last week, I would have said, no, we are rubbish on 11 wins. Sorry, on 10 wins last week.
10 wins in 2009. So, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas now we're on 11 wins with 3 games to go. If we win 1, which we should beat. We should beat
Gold Coast. We should win at least 1.
On the form we had today, We should beat Gold Coast because they haven't won out of their home ground.
And this is a weird thing to say. On form, we should also beat Sydney.
Well, Sydney, Jesus Christ, can we have a quick conversation about them getting flogged by 112, 14, whatever points? Jesus Christ, tell them.
72-0.
And you and I talked when AFL released that article about, are they as good as the Dons from 2000? And you and I were, no, because it's round 14 and, you know, like they have to get through to the end of the year and have won a premiership and being, you know, still have only lost one and then we'll talk. And they'd go and lose the next 5 out of the next 6 games. I'm like, well, there you go. They're not as good as us. Don't write articles at the wrong time of the year, dickheads.
That one win was against North.
Yeah.
It's a funny argument, that one, because you argue forever and a day about eras and, you know, Brisbane's, Hawthorns, and Essendon.
Yeah, Richmond's, yeah.
Richmond. But as a single season, that was the best season any team's ever had. So until another club does that, and Geelong have gotten the closest in 2008, they lost one game in the season, but then lost the grand final. Until that happens, that's it. It's ours.
Don't talk to us.
We don't care. It's been 24 years, but it's ours. So piss off.
Yeah.
And don't write articles at round 12.
Yeah. So that's right. That's the thing that annoyed me. So do we sit here and think, have we improved?
Yes. I think last week was such a hard one to sit there and talk
horrible.
Positively at all. We might have said it last week. It might have been the week before. When we sit down at the end of the season and we go, well, what worked really well? What was the improvement? Where did we go backwards? Whatever. The improvement's going to be straight away Caldwell Durham.
Oh, yeah.
Straight away. And I reckon when we get to the end of the season, and this is the only time I'm going to be able to do this, look at the points against, I think we'll be better. I feel like we've had more of a sustained run of that 80 to 90 points. Yeah. Which will be less. I think it was like 92 last year we averaged.
Yep.
Might only be just less, but it might be less.
No, it won't be a lot. But yeah, that's another sort of evaluation of are we better? Like, have we had less scores against us?
And have we scored more going the other way? I would say no right now.
No.
But as long as that scores against have come down, okay, I'm fine with that. We spoke at the start of the year and said if we win the same number of games as we did last week, which was 11 last year, which was 11, I believe, we'll be okay. Because it was a harder draw. Yeah. And despite what you want to believe from the media, it was a tougher draw because we were in the middle 6.
Now we've beaten 3 teams in the top 8.
And now we've beaten 3 teams in the top 8.
And Collingwood.
And Hawthorn, who I don't think would beat Hawthorn now.
That's not Hawthorn in that group. Yep.
Yeah. We did beat them.
The other thing for me, too, is what I feel better about, and I felt better about this week, was the team. The selection, and no offence to Heppel going out.
Who didn't play VFL?
I don't know. I didn't look, actually. I looked, but I didn't see his name. Peter Wright is a really interesting one. I'm so disappointed in his form. Like, rightly dropped. Rightly, plug. But
dickhead.
Heppel definitely, and definitely Archie Perkins also had to be dropped.
Yes.
They were the right choice. Ridley injured, fair enough. The great ins were Nick Bryan. I've been a big supporter of him. Going forward, he has to start playing footy for us because...
It feels like you've been talking about that for all season.
2 years,
just about. Yep.
Because Goldstein's not the option next year. He can't get a contract, so it has to be. We've got Vigo. Is it Vigo in the VFL?
He's been coming along nicely.
Yeah, and coming along. I don't know if we look for another senior ruckman who's a backup. I don't know if we do that next year, or we just say, well, we've got the 3. Let's just plod along with that. Because
I think that largely depends on what they want to do. If they want to consistently play 2 ruckmen, I reckon you need another one.
Yep.
And the
other one for me,
play the 1 ruckman. Then I reckon you're okay.
Yeah, and the other one for me was Archie coming in from Archie. So his form in the VFL has been super. He did some really good things. As I say, we talked about. He looked pretty blown up towards that 3rd and 4th quarter. Like I reckon he'll sleep well tonight. Poor bugger probably didn't. He juiced up, used a lot of energy in that first half, running up and down the ground.
And I think this too really illustrates what you were saying about us sitting there going, yeah, okay, if we lose by 3 or 4 goals, we're kind of okay because we played well. But also, we've got some kids in this side now. We've got Katie,
and that's what I'm saying. We played,
and we haven't talked about Katie yet. He was very good.
Yeah, exactly. We played Nick Bryan, who's 10 AFL games. We played Archie's playing his 1st, and Katie, who's playing probably his 5th. I don't know, at a guess, 6, something like that. So that is an acceptable team to lose to. Whereas when it was Goldstein and Heppel
Well,
and those guys, you go,
last-
well, we're all of a sudden an old team who's crap.
Yeah,
Whereas
last week-
you know, been a young team who's crap. I can deal with that.
Last week against St Kilda, we were full strength.
Yeah.
We had everyone available. And
Yep.
if I don't think there was a world at the start of the year where we would have sat down and said Peter Wright gets dropped this year. We would have no.
And lose to St Kilda by 60 points.
But you're right. They deserve to be dropped, every single one of them. We persisted with Archie Perkins for, in my opinion, longer than we should have.
Yep, I agree.
He gets dropped. Again, Roberts didn't set the world on fire, but
No,
he was fine.
he deserved his go, and he played well
He
enough.
chased, he tackled.
I would give him a game next week.
Did all the things he needed to do. My remaining concern is, and will be for the rest of the season, it'll be fine-tooth comb sort of stuff. Ben Mackay,
Pardon the
Andrew
fuck up.
McDonald, who? He coaches Australia, doesn't he? Andrew McGrath and Flogguts, Redmond.
Red Dog, yeah.
All three of them. Mackay, his spot is safe as houses. I understand that because he's
Just because of his size and his
tall and
attributes,
big and
but
scary.
he needs to.
He's tall and big.
Hmm.
But bro needs some lessons in just defensive intelligence. Just crack out the tapes of Harris Andrews, Sam Taylor, and just go, right, this is where I need to be. This is what I need to be doing. Both of those guys, Harris Andrews, Sam Taylor, authoritative in the air. They will watch the ball, they'll come in, and they will thump that ball into Rosed.
Yep. And then
Mackay,
there was that moment in that, was the second or third quarter where, was it a miss? Try miss? Bumped? Or was it the other guy?
I don't know who marked it, but Ben Mackay came in from the side. Cox was on, whoever it was, the Freo player.
Yeah.
And rather than Ben Mackay just cut across and spoil, at the very least come across and spoil, he looks at the Freo man, runs straight into him. The Freo guy neck minutes in the air and takes the mark.
Yeah.
And you just go, for
Yeah.
fuck's sake. And it was
just an ordinary effort. Like it was.
watch the ball. Just
Well,
watch the ball and kill that fucking thing as hard as you humanly can. If you take a bit of body with you, even better.
Yep.
You were 5 metres in from the boundary line, not even that. Just kill it. For God's sake, man. And then we've talked about McGrath enough. I think he's the most frustrating.
The other one, obviously, I throw in there every week is Laverto. He's just.
Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, I love. Well, again, and the damning stat for him, like he had 3 or 4 kicked on him from
Amos.
miss. He also had negative 9 meters for meters gained, which is not obviously gained. It's meters lost, which is a fascinating stat for anyone who plays as a defender
Can really
and
only kick the ball forward.
has to kick the ball forward. He's had
too much.
He's had
into it.
3 kicks, and obviously none of them have gone the right way.
Again, we've done it to death. The frustrating thing about Lav is he's just constantly out of position. Then has to almost give it. Always playing on the line of giving away a free kick.
Yep.
To be fair, doesn't always give away the free kick, but just always has
Somehow,
to play
but you
on
watch
that
it and
line.
go, "Ooh,
and then
lucky."
always seems to follow up with that fake tough guy shit, trying to drag him to the ground or get
Or lands on him. He
trying to
lands on him a lot.
be,
Yeah.
You know, that stupid look on his face, like what?
And then looks at the umpire and go, "What's the free kick for?" I'm like, "Mate, we could all see what the free kick's for.
There was
you grabbed
one.
his jumper or you punched him in the head."
There was one in the first quarter where we won the clearance and then they turned the ball over slightly in our forward half, still in the centre square.
Yep.
And they won the ball back. And I think it was Luke Ryan just got the ball in the boot, kicked it 50 metres, and Laverde was about 15 metres in front of his man. And it was the
Yeah, that was
most
Jackson, I
easy
think,
mark
wasn't it?
for the guy over the back.
Yep.
And you just go, what's the positioning? I don't care if the ball got turned over quickly. How can you be 15 metres in front of your man and expect to get back and actually impact? You should just be ready. There's nothing gained by you being 15 metres in front of your man.
No, his positioning often
Be within
frustrates
5.
me. Yeah.
Give yourself time to get back if the ball does come in quickly. Just be prepared.
Yeah. His position often frustrates me, and I think that if I'm shopping this. Look, it got to the point during the week where I looked at the draft, didn't I? Yeah.
Well,
I sent you the Cal Toomey's predicted sort of top 20 or whatever he does, 25, I'm not sure. And at the time, I'd estimate, pick 7. There's a kid they're describing as Ridley-like. I'm like, well,
Get him in. We've got a really light player in the twos still. So Hayes is the last player that I want to see come in this year with any sort of desperation. And on form, I would say Laverde, you're out, mate.
Oh, that would be a great shift for us to say, yeah, look.
If Hayes has made those mistakes, I could sit there and go, well,
he's playing.
Not great, but learn from it.
Laverde's played, 150, 200 games of footy?
Too many games of football. I would say, from very little sample size.
Probably not that many.
Admittedly.
100. Yeah.
Hayes is very similar to Caddy in the long arm department.
Yep.
Bit of Dustin Fletcher, bit of go-go gadget. Just give him a go. That's all I want to see. Give him a go.
Yep.
Nothing that can really go wrong. Maybe against Gold Coast would be a good option.
We would argue that we felt that the changes of bringing in the younger kids this week worked really well. It's how much further you want to go with that. And they might be like, we've made enough changes, we don't want to push that too hard.
Maybe. What would be backwards, in my opinion now, would be to bring Peter Wright back or to bring Dyson Heppel back.
Yeah.
Because you played in the shit game, we made the changes, and then we beat a top 4 side.
Well,
so you can't then tell me that we'll go back. You can't go back to the other team that lost by 10 goals to a shit team.
Yep. So Peter kicked 3 in the VFL this week.
All the AFL listed guys were good in the VFL.
But a young kid called Job Shanahan, who is one of the guys in Kaltumi's top 20, I'm sure he was one of them, because I saw his name and went, Job, another Job. That's interesting. He kicked 4. So
outshone yet again, Pete.
Yeah, so you wouldn't say that just draws him straight back into the seniors for me. So,
and it worked. It was having Draper forward, Brian Ruck, Jones seemed to be more forward, but still wing.
Langford played
played a bit higher up the ground at times. Yeah. It just worked. It looked more dynamic, and Jake Stringer, as a permanent forward, was super effective. So you've got
Jake Stringer as a permanent forward is dangerous.
You've got a note here saying, did Brad listen to us?
I think he did.
Because pretty much everything we talked about last week, and we're not alone in that. It was supported. No. The supporter base is talking about this shit. But, I mean, we said it too. So
we said it on podcast.
And we recorded it.
That gives us extra points, Sam. Because if we're wrong, we look like dicks.
I'd argue if we're right.
Well, people posted, so you guys...
We probably still look like dicks.
Why do you think shouldn't Hine be in the team every week?
It's about the only hate we've ever gotten, actually, about Nick Hine. And I would like to ask, where is Nick Hine playing now?
We're a better team without guys like Nick Hine in the team. We have to get... I'm often talking about, and I say this to you all the time, who are the bottom 4? Who do we need to improve on? And as a good team, you're trying to push, and somebody new comes in and they push someone down lower because they are already better than, half of them. Nick Bryant's, I still think, is an example of that, and so you push, and you see Laverde as these guys at the bottom now, and
was that Bryant's
we get a bit
best
frustrated. I think it's his best game as an AFL. Yeah,
AFL.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
I think he plays the rest of the. That's the matchup you go with for the next 3 games. You play him and Draper. Tell Peter Wright, just try and find some form back in the VFL, mate. Have a good preseason next year, and we'll try again next year because there's no point.
Let's do some votes, and then I want to jump into the VFL and next week because there's a really good point there that next week with the ruck. So, your boy here forgot to do the post today. I had driven up to my old home for the weekend, 3-hour drive home this morning. I just forgot all about it. Fight me. So Peter James, who got the vote last week, messaged me and said, "You forgot the post. Can I do them?" Yeah, sure.
Love it, Peter. Do you want to be a listener? Do you want to be a podcaster as well?
Took the initiative, so fair enough. Yeah. I was like, yeah, not sure. And then I couldn't think of anything else. So, yeah, no worries, mate. He gave 3 to Merritt, 2 to Parrish, and 1 to Nicky Boy Brand.
Good votes. Solid votes.
Yeah, here you go. You do yours.
Well, I had 3 to Merritt, 2 to Parrish, and 1 to Stringer. 4 goals, 10 tackles. I would have loved Bryant would have got it if he'd stayed on, I reckon. But the fact that he went off, and I understand why they did that. Totally think that was a great on-off. But yeah, he had a good game.
I'll go 3 to Caldwell. Tackling machine, yet again.
Yep.
2 to Stringer, same reasons you just said. And I gave 1 to Martin.
Yeah.
I thought he was unreal that last quarter. Kicked 2 goals, I believe. And I've got a note there. It was Brian until the fourth quarter. Same as you. Until he went off, I would have given him the 1.
And just to talk about that Nick Martin coming for, I don't know if he came for it. He just rolled up the ground really deep. Yeah. That was so influential too. Like he got those. He can't, in front of goals. He's such a weapon. We need 2 of him. Like what we need one that plays as a halfback. We need one that plays as a half forward.
So our run at the end of the game. So 7 minutes in, or 7 minutes 55, Nick Martin goal. 14:25, Caddy goal. 15:47, Martin goal. 17:40, Gresham goal. 19:22, Langford goal. So 5 minutes of football, we've kicked 4 goals.
Yeah.
Plus
that's all it was.
Outlier of Nick Martin, who's kicked 2 in that last quarter.
Yeah, but that's all it was. Like, that was 5 minutes.
And
Freya just...
After Amos kicked that goal to get it back level...
Yep.
All these scenarios were going through my head like, percentage matters again, because it doesn't matter at the moment because we got the draw.
Yep.
And then just Zachy Merritt just bursting out of the middle. And then once Stars got inside 50, that was it. I relaxed in my chair almost. Well, he's going to kick a point. He's going to kick at least a point. It's 25 seconds. I'd be pretty dirty if they got the ball from there. Given the game situation, we should be pretty bloody defensive at that point. And then, of course, Sammy Draper took the mark, which is hilarious because I not 2 minutes earlier said Draper needs to start taking these fucking marks.
Yeah, you did say that. And that was a great little mark from him too. Like that's
a big boy mark.
Look, credit in the last 4 or 5 weeks, he's played some good footy.
He has.
I know you haven't loved him, but
no. I don't like his ruck work. I think he's played good around the ground.
One of the things we've talked about is when he sometimes gets the ball, don't kick it, handball it.
Yeah. Because
the small guys around you are better at kicking, and he needs to. He would do that in the forward 50, take the ball out of a contest and just kick it. And no. You give it to the little guys, and they kick it.
Just sat it on Jones's head once or twice. And I went, Jesus Christ. Contrast, if I can just mention that Menzies kick to Langford or Stringer.
Yes.
Stringer.
Yes.
It was Stringer.
No, it was Stringer,
So we went quickly, which was nice because we were sitting there a couple of times going, go quickly. Like, don't let them get back and defend you. If you've got one-on-ones, you may as well kick to a one-on-one. You're not going to lose anything by doing that.
Forwards like one-on-ones.
And Menzies rolled around on the right and just kicked it low and hard. 2 Stringer's advantage, and he was able to do his thing. It's just beautiful.
He beat Ryan in that marking contest, which because we don't rate Ryan.
Well, you don't rate Ryan. I rate Ryan.
I don't rate Ryan as a defender. I rate him as an accumulator.
Right.
That's the difference.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Seems like some fantasy football speak there.
Yeah, he does. He scores very... Like, he had, I think, the game high fantasy points. Now, would you say he was anything influential in the game?
Oh, he actually had 30 touches. Christ.
Yeah,
no.
121 fantasy points, 30 disposals, 21 kicks, because he gets a lot of kick-ins, and it's the marks, 9 marks. Leading mark. Like, I don't remember him barely taking a mark. Like,
honestly,
does he take intercept marks, or he just take chippy marks?
Don't know. I don't think he intercepted. The most influential player on the ground was Jake Stringer.
I think with 4 goals and 10 tackles.
And this is why, when I tell you fantasy doesn't matter...
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I don't argue with you about that.
Everything for you is about bloody fantasy.
I love fantasy.
I know, but
it's the women. No, that's not fantasy. Okay, VFL.
I'm not sure where you're going with that. So, next week, Saturday night at Marvel, Gold Coast. Still haven't won away from home. Absolutely shat the bed against West Coast.
The Coasters. The Battle of the Coasters.
I loved West Coast's retro. I loved retro round. Footscray should be Footscray forever. Get on that, dogs. The jerseys, the collar that the Footscray
I do like a collar.
Yeah, it was bloody good. And the West Coast, the old West Coast jersey. Anyway, VFL. So we beat Northern Bull Ants 121-77. I will put a little proviso on that Northern Bull Ants are last.
Doesn't matter. We beat someone.
We won.
2 games in a row.
Like 5 of our last 6 in the VFL.
Yeah.
Peter Wright, 3 goals, 2 from 19 touches and 8 marks. Will Setterfield, 43 touches, 7 marks. Ben Hobbs, 34 touches, a goal, 8 tackles, which was a match high. Sardis, 32 touches, Richmond's newest signing. Nick Hine, 27 and a goal. Perkins, 26 and a goal. A couple of others in there. Jaden Davey had 4 touches and kicked a point. Goldstein had 43 hit-outs, get him in.
What do we... what do we think of,
the other one? Sorry, very quickly.
Yeah.
Wiedemann, 18 touches and 10 marks. Now, I've mentioned Hayes earlier.
He's the other one.
If we're worried about size with Hayes, which fair enough if we are, Wiedemann's the swap.
Well, I don't know. I would like to see Wiedemann get a chance to start instead of Laverde. And I understand Wiedemann's negatives. He's a bit soft. He's probably the opposite. Probably opposite to Laverde in that he's quite skilled, but a bit softer. Yeah.
I went to the VFL last week for a quarter, and I liked what I saw with him. Oh, yeah, it was a bit soft.
I've watched a few VFL games, and I don't mind it. I wouldn't mind. He's on. I think doesn't have a contract next year. I think he's just contracted with us this year.
So give him a go. Can't be any
I'd
worse
like
than
to see
Laverde.
what it looks like. I would.
Can't be any worse than Lav.
He's a talented footballer. He's a first round draft pick back in his day. He's talented. Probably so was Laverde, actually, to be honest. But I think he brings a little bit more polish to that back six than Laverde. But I understand why they're not.
You have to look at that game and go, well, if we're dropping guys on form,
they're not going to drop Laverde. They love his effort. He gives effort every week. I just think what we need is someone younger and slightly better to come along who can give effort as well.
Wiedemann's still young too, so I would rather roll the dice.
Wiedemann's only still 25-ish, isn't he?
Particularly if we're on the fence about contract or not. Roll the dice. He said throw the dice.
But my question is, so Setterfield, I'm not so 43 touches. I guess it's
a great game of footy, but I don't think there's a spot for him.
It doesn't push it. It's the Hobbs and Stardust. What's happening with them?
There's a spot. Well, Sardis, rumours only. Richmond are coming for him.
Yep.
Which
I don't see the point. Yep.
Point in time, he's worth nothing, unfortunately, in terms of a trade value. But if you were going to moneyball it slightly, you might play Sardis in the guts to try and add to his value, perhaps.
You wouldn't do that, no.
And he is playing in the guts in the
VFL,
so maybe. We still got Durham from their VFL side, so we'll still win. But
yep. I honestly think that probably Hobbs and Sardis are you're sadly they're the guys that I don't see who they jump in front. It's Shield.
Well,
it's the decision comes around Shield. Like if Shield leads the club, then yes, Sardis can come in and play his role as a clearance guy because that's actually what he's good at.
But
Hobbs, I just don't know where he fits in the team.
You got to have depth. So if for the next 2 or 3 years they're depth, and Darcy Parish...
They won't want to be depth, though.
When was the last time Darcy Parish played a full season of football, or more than 15 games of football in a season?
True, he does struggle. He's got a bit of Langford about him.
So Caldwell's managed to play through a full season. Durham has too, but there'll be opportunities, and you've got to have them. I don't think it's just a case of if we don't play them, they're gone or anything like that. But there's got to be a spot for them, and I think in that conversation there is a spot for Wiedemann. There is a spot for Hayes. The same spot. But there is a spot. And the other one's Peter Wright, but I think we've worked out a structure today that was pretty good. So I don't want to mess with that until we see a bit more of it and go, well, yes, it was good, but it's been found out really quickly. Or, hey, this is working, we can stick with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much faith I can have in Draper playing as forward / ruckman, but
The more he does it, the better he might get better at it.
He gives at least contact. Like he marks the ball. I'll be honest.
He gets first.
Peter Wright has in the last 5 weeks. I barely taken marks. That's probably his biggest knock is that. And as I've said, I think Peter Wright just needs to go back to the VFL, have a big preseason, and get his confidence back. And next year we'll look at that again, and that would be a great problem to have.
Yep. He was class. He kicked 53 goals.
Yeah. And he used to clunk everything.
Yeah, we love Pete. I still love Pete.
But then something's happened, and I don't know if that shoulder injury from last year that,
someone
I don't know.
Did say to me that since he was suspended, he hasn't flown or hasn't been able to mark the ball as confidently.
Yeah.
So maybe there's
Yeah.
something on his mind there.
Might,
And we
yeah.
we talked about that at the time and said he's not a malicious dude.
Mm.
So maybe we're
could be just
guessing.
that.
But
I'm certainly he's not leaving the club.
no,
in my
God,
mind.
no.
It's just we've just got to find a way to get him back in and get that 50 goals out of him again. Because as we said, if we can get 50 from him, 40 or so from Stringer, 30 or 40 from Laverde, from Langford, then you throw in some small forwards. All of a sudden, there's a team in there.
Your shout of having Peter Wright at fullback and Ben Mackay at full forwards looking better by the week.
Yeah, I've talked about that. Can they play him as a defender? Well, just see how it goes.
See how he goes. The big one I wanted to talk about was last time we played Gold Coast, they beat us in a pretty close game up there at People's First Stadium, which is a bank. I never knew that was a bank. And Jared Witz was not in the side, and we looked at that and went, well, perfect. Nick Bryan was a late in for Goldstein.
Yep.
And after dominating Ned Moyle in the VFL, Bryan was outplayed.
Yeah.
However, two things. Gold Coast have got Witz back this week. I don't know if they've got Took back yet.
No, he might be back this week. I reckon he had a 4 week, and this will be his 4th week of that 4 weeks. So
Google that quickly while I'm talking.
I reckon.
And they have got an absolute contested ball beast in Matty Rao.
Yep.
Took Miller was 1 to 2 weeks last week, so maybe.
Yep, fair enough.
This is a really great chance for Nick Bryan to come back in against Gold Coast better ruckman
and redeem
show
himself.
his value.
Totally redeem himself.
2, do it with Sammy Draper. Now, I really rate Jared Witz.
Well,
I love the man. I really enjoy watching him play football. But Sean Darcy's a bloody good ruckman. And
Bryan took it right to him.
Bryan probably beat him.
Yep, I agree.
We commented once that we thought if Darcy can get forward and drag Bryan forward, it's going to be an issue because of the size of Darcy, but he never did it. It never happened for one reason or another.
Yeah.
So look, I can talk Gold Coast up. I can say if they get Miller back, it's classy player. Jared Witt's classy player. Matty Rao, beast. But they haven't won away from
Anderson.
home. They literally have not won a single game away from Queensland or the Northern Territory.
They didn't win the Adelaide game, did they?
No, they lost to GWS.
Yeah. So they haven't won, and they've lost to North Melbourne in Victoria, and I reckon they've lost to West Coast in West Coast. So
and Damien Hardwick hates
I reckon they
Melbourne.
lost to Richmond, did they? No, they beat Richmond up there. Yeah, they beat Richmond up there.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at the two, not worst teams, but North Melbourne and West Coast, Richmond's the other one, then they've lost to the worst teams away from home. So you would think if we just turn up and put in as much effort as this week, then we should be able to knock them over by a couple of goals. Then, I don't know what to think of the future, Sam, because last week I was ready to burn the place down.
Well, this is why we love Herbertron, because his theme was revolution.
People's revolution, yes, the French.
Yeah, we need to overthrow this football club, essentially. And, I don't totally disagree with the sentiment still, but what's pleasing, at least, is last year we finished off the season with a 126-point loss and an 80-point loss. This year, at least, we had the one shit game, yes, and we'll remember that for a while. But we came back. We were able to come back and play some decent footy. I genuinely thought we might have won our last game of the year against Collingwood. That's how I thought this season was going to end. No, this year.
Oh, right.
I mean, we beat Collingwood like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was thinking that was it.
Oh, right, yes.
I thought we would.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I thought we'd get touched this week and the next. I thought we'd let Gold Coast have their first win in Victoria and then really get flogged by Sydney and Brisbane.
Yep. Well, I mean, Brisbane, I still think we're going to.
I'm not worried about Brisbane. They're probably nearly premiership favourites now. Sydney is the one I want us to win. I want us to win Gold Coast.
I'm really glad
if we win Gold Coast and Sydney
we'll play
and roll into 13 wins, that's good enough for me. I don't care if we lose the final.
We play finals. You don't care, but...
I know. We'll have the stupid 3,000 days since we've won. Whatever, I don't know the numbers.
I wish it was 3.
5,000, is it?
7.
Oh, is it really? Jesus Christ, that is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That I don't give a shit about that. I just
Neither do I. I just hate the rhetoric around it.
yeah, because it's going to happen, and we have to move past that. If we can just play good footy for the last 3 weeks, I'll be pumped. Like, and play
then
the kids. And if we do make a crazy change and drop Laverde for a Hayes or a Wiedemann, then I'm more than pumped about. I don't care about the result. It's about the development of that group going forward.
If that happens, Brad Scott listens to this podcast.
Oh, actually, if that does happen, Brad Scott does listen to this podcast.
Brad,
'Cause I'm
if
sure
you're
no one else
listening-
is screaming for that.
Just reach out. We'll chat to you.
Well, you can join in. You can sit in the middle.
You can be.
That side, yeah.
Yeah.
Have to point the right way. Screens around the wrong way. People talk confused.
If we lose, be warned, it's going to get dark.
Oh, dark.
And we'll blame you for everything.
I don't want to think about losing to Gold Coast in Victoria for their first win for the year.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go, and that will likely be my last game of the year, unless we play a final in Melbourne. Which I did have a look, and if we do make finals, the likely opponent is the Bulldogs, which 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks ago I would have gone, yeah, not bad.
Now they were,
bad.
no, I don't like that at all.
Bad. Them and Brisbane, I think, are the premiership favourites now. They haven't missed a beat. Brisbane have been good for like 12 weeks, but the Dogs are really playing super good footy. And this is what you have to do. Essendon, take note. Don't start the season well. Brisbane started the season shit. Luke Beveridge nearly got sacked.
Well, yeah, there was a bit of pressure.
talk. But finish the season well. This is when you want to be playing your best football.
Yep.
Sydney, hello.
I hate saying this, but I hate it. But Geelong is still fucking hanging around with like a bad smell.
No,
And to be honest,
if
if Port can flog Sydney by 114 points, they have to be considered at a home, which they'll get a home game.
That's fair. Yep.
Whoever they play, they have to be looked at. I don't think they'll win a Victorian game or anything
there
else.
There is a circumstance where there can be no finals in Melbourne in the first week of finals.
Because of Sydney, Brisbane, Port, GWS.
Well, because if Dogs finish third or fourth, they're away. Brisbane, Port.
Can we dream about Carlton not making the 8?
Oh my god! Look, if they don't make the 8 and we can finish above them,
Oh!
no one's talking about this. They've fallen off far worse than we have because they were actually believed to be good. We were never believed to be good. We were a case of told you so.
True.
Carlton were not. They were the bee's knees.
And to put that in context,
Carlton.
They're paying $10 for the premiership, Carlton, whereas Geelong's 13, Freo's 12. So they're all out. So we're $67. So just to put it in context, the bookies often know, got a better option, better knowledge of what's going to happen than us. They don't lose money. Bookies don't like to lose money. So Brisbane is now the favourites for the flag.
Yeah, and deservedly so. It's them and the Bulldogs on form right now. But as we've seen, it can change.
Well, the Bulldogs paying $6. Yeah, you're right. Bulldogs are second favourite with Sydney.
It can change very quickly.
Yep.
Anyway, that's for another week. That'll do us for tonight, I think. I think we've covered it. We've somehow managed to scrape through to 58 minutes yet again. I don't know how we do it every week. We don't plan this. Just always ends up being the same.
And I'd like to say thank you. Last week we had really good attendance in our viewer numbers from YouTube. I don't know the other numbers because I don't even, Sam does all that stuff.
Honestly, a miracle you know the YouTube numbers. To be completely transparent.
No, I just want to say thank you to everyone for listening. We love doing this. It's painful and it hurts and it makes us cry sometimes.
It is our therapy.
Yeah, it's 100% our therapy, and I'm sure it is a lot of therapy for everyone that listens to, and they'd probably want to jump in and say some stuff, and if you ever do, just let us know and we'll let you.
Yeah, message us on Facebook. I check that regularly. I don't always check the YouTube comments. I've got a bit slack with that.
Make a little video of yourself. We'll post it.
Probably don't do that. Might be a bit
weird. Don't we?
Do what you want, actually. Fuck it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we can do that. We'll put it back in oath. We will.
I'll put it in.
Those shorts.
I've got the facilities to chuck you in the podcast.
We'll put you on a shorts.
Just don't swear too much.
Yeah, just don't swear too much. Or, say anything too dickish.
Cross the line,
Yeah. Just bag out how crap we are or how unreal we are.
Nathan gets all
that.
Or
Geelong or Carlton or Collingwood. Any of that sort of stuff. That's fine.
Anyway, touching remarks from you. Normally it's me saying that shit, so thank you.
It can be sweet too, mate.
Yet to see it. Thanks for tuning in, and I can say with chest this week, go Dons.
Go Bombers.